Hey there yogis, my name is Crystal Gray and I help women commit to a more regular yoga practice. Today I'll be showing you some of my favorite props that I love to use in my home yoga practice, though a lot of them you don't necessarily have to get to begin. Alright, so let's dive into my favorite props to use in my home yoga practice. The first prop obviously is a yoga mat. So you want to try to get kind of a higher quality mat once you get serious, just because the cheaper ones tend to slip, and that is really annoying because they're supposed to be sticky mats, but whenever you get the wrong mat, it can be super slippery. So once you decide that you like yoga and you want to hit your mat more often, I highly recommend the Manduka Eco. It's EKO. That's a great yoga mat. The yoga mat I'm using here is it's more expensive. It's more of an investment, but I love this mat because it's stickier. The Manduka Eco is sticky as well, but it's a little bit thicker. Now this one is called a Liforme, Liforme. Now I love this mat because it's super grippy and it's not really thin, so it still has enough padding for me, but I really like to practice jumping from down dog and jumping forward or working on my handstands, and I need a lot of grip for that. If you have no desire to be working on that stuff at this point in your practice, then you might want to consider just getting the Manduka Eco. It's the mat that I used for years and years and I love it. Okay, the next prop that I really love to use are yoga blocks, okay? My dog really likes them too. As you can see, maybe he chewed that up right there. So maybe they make good dog toys as well. All right, so again, the brand, it doesn't really matter with yoga blocks. There's a lot of different types. So these ones are Manduka and they're really high quality. So they're pretty thick and they're pretty sturdy. Some of them are foam, and I think these are foam too, but they might be rubber. But foam can be kind of flimsy sometimes. So that's why I like these Manduka ones. And I'll put links below so that you can find out which ones I use. Now I might get a kickback if you use my link, so just to let you know. But blocks are really good because you can use them as extensions of your arms. So anytime, say you are in like a triangle pose and your hand doesn't quite come down to the ground, then you can use a block and then make sure that you're still keeping good form, right? If you try to just touch the ground without a block, then you might really come into some bad alignment and injure your body. So blocks are really good to use as extensions for the hands. They're also good for using like in poses like low lunge, things like this. Hands can be here. You could even sit on blocks, 1 or 2 blocks, in poses like Sukhasana to keep the hips level, in poses like Virasana here. So they're very multi-use. So this is a really good prop to get, and they're relatively cheap. So it's a good one to get sooner. But again, you can use anything that's around your house. So don't feel like you have to wait until you get all these props to start yoga. You don't even need a yoga mat to begin yoga. Okay, all you need is yourself and a willingness and the ability to breathe, and you can do yoga. Okay, the next prop is a yoga blanket. So I love using blankets because, first of all, they're pretty versatile, but I really love to sit on the blanket, again, to bring the pelvis into neutral. Most of my students need to be sitting up a little bit because if not, then the tailbone tends to roll under. Okay, so you really want to try to sit right on top of the sitting bones in any of the seated poses. The other things that you can use the blanket for would be restorative poses. So whenever you lay back, you could put it under your knees, like in Shavasana, it feels really great. Or you can bring it back under your spine for heart openers. You can use it for all different sorts of restorative poses. Again, these ones, blankets are relatively cheap, but you also might have something around your house that might work. Like that blanket I have on my chair, that one would work as well. These regular actual yoga blankets, they tend to be a little bit thicker and more sturdy, so they don't like compress down as much as a regular blanket that you'd have laying around your house. So that might be one of the benefits to getting an actual yoga blanket. Okay, next is a yoga strap. Now, this definitely, you do not have to get an actual yoga strap, okay? You can use a tie, you can use a belt, you can use a shirt, you can use a blanket, you can use a scarf, you can use many things. You don't necessarily need a strap. Now, straps are good for things like binds. So working on poses like Gomukhasana, cow face pose. Also good for like putting around the foot to draw the chest forward, poses like this. Okay, so they are very multi-use as well, and they can also be used for a lot of restorative poses too. And lastly, yoga bolsters. So these tend to be the most expensive prop, so maybe it's the last one you get. They can be used for, again, tons of restorative poses like twists, heart openers, under the legs, seated, to bring the pelvis into neutral. Now this bolster is probably about twice the size that I would recommend getting. Notice how it lifts me up so high. I would actually probably get one that's about half the size, and those would be standard yoga bolsters. This one is not standard, it's bigger than standard. So I hope that that helps you decide what props you need to get first, which ones you can wait on. But remember, don't wait to start your yoga practice until you have all of the yoga props or the perfect yoga clothes or the perfect yoga space. Yoga does not care if you have any of these things. It only cares if you show up. All right, so again, make sure that you join the 30-day yoga challenge that is also suitable for beginners. It'll really help you commit to your daily yoga practice, and I can't wait to hear all of your comments and see how much the yoga has affected and improved your life. Have a great day. Namaste.